guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, you're most definitely welcome, and if you are a returning, thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you guys how to make a bustier top with a peplon and a yoke. So if you are interested, please keep on watching. So I'm going to make use of a pattern first to draft out this measurements, after which I'll transfer this to my fabric. So I'm going to fold my paper in two. Okay, you need to fold your fabric in two as well. And I'm going to get now is my breast points. So I'm just going to mark, and the breast point I'm working with is 10 inches. I'm just going to mark 10 inches right here. Repeat the same thing so that we are good. 10 inches here as well. And for my underbust is 14 inches. The underbust I'm working with is 14 inches. So I'm going to mark 14 inches. And the waist length is 17 inches. I'm going to mark 17 inches here as well. Come back here and repeat the same thing. This is 14 inches and this is 17 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to make a straight line so that we don't get confused. So guys, this is my breast points, this is the underbust, and this is the waistline. Okay, breast points, underbust, and waistline. The next thing is the neck width. The neck width I'm working with is 3 inches. So I'm just going to mark 3 inches right here, and the length is 3.5 inches. I'm going to mark 3.5 inches right here. So I'm just going to do something like a square. Just to get my curve. Okay, I'm going to take 1/2 inches here, 1 inches here, just to get that curve. Now I'm just going to connect this to this point. You can use whatever you want, but I'm just going to use a free hand. Okay. 6 1/4 plus 1/2 inches, that's 6 3/4. So I'm just going to take 6 3/4 here, that's almost 7, and come down by 1/2 inches. You can come down by 1 inch if you want, and that's because your shoulder is not straight. So I'm going to come down by 1/2 inches. You can also come down by 1 inches. Okay, I'm going to do a straight line like this, like so. And from here, I'm going to get my armhole measurement, which is 8. Then I'll make a straight line. I'll also make a straight line across, and this part will be my upper chest measurements. So this point will be the upper chest measurements. Okay. Now we've done this, guys. The next measurement is the nipple to nipple. My nipple to nipple measurement is 6.5. So 6.5 divided by 2, that is 3 1/4. So I'm going to, on the breast point, I'm going to mark 3 1/4. The breast point, I'm going to get 3 1/4. Okay, and repeat the same thing. Go to the waist length and add 3 1/4 inches as well. And this is without allowance, guys, because I'm using a pattern. When I transfer to the fabric, I'm going to add ½ inches. You're going to see when I do it. So for now, I'm using 3 1/4. Now I'm going to make a straight line to connect this together, like so. Okay. Now for the yoke, the length I'm going to use for the yoke is 5 1/2. I think I'm okay with 5 1/2 inches. So I'm just going to make a straight line. Pardon my ruler, guys. So I'm just going to make a straight line like this. Okay. And I'm this line towards that place. So I'm just going to extend it to this point. Now it's time to take the dart measurement. I'm going straight to the underbust. Underbust, I'm using 1 inches. So I'm going to mark 1 inches here. 1 inches there. Okay. And for the waistline, I'm going to use ½ inches on both sides. ½ inches here and ½ inches here as well. Now I'm going to connect these points to the breast point. But before that, sorry guys, on the breast point line, you come down by ½ inches. You can come down by 1 inches if you want. I'm going to come down by ½ inches. Then connect these points to this point. So I'll go back with my ruler and just connect this. Like so, and connect this right here. Okay. Now for this point, I'm also going to take 1 inches here as well. 1 inches on both sides. One inches at both sides. Then connect this to the breast point itself. Okay. Now I'm just going to soften this place because our nipple is not pointed. So we're just going to make this place a little bit curved. All these points, I'm just going to soften it a little bit. Okay. Like so. Now guys, for the yoke measurement, I don't want to have a straight yoke measurement. I want to have like a sweetheart shape. So I'm just going to come here from this point. Just going to come down at this point by 1 inches. And that's because I want to have a sweetheart shape. So from here, from this point, I'm just like going to start curving down to this point. Okay. I'm going straight to the armhole. My armhole measurement is 8 inches. The midpoint is 4. I'm going to get the middle, and that's 4 inches. Then come in by 3/4 inches. So I just want to get my armhole shape. Okay, so we're just going to get that shape. Okay guys, now it's time to impute the actual measurement. So first I'm going to start with the breast point. The breast point circumference is 34 inches. 34 inches divided by 4, that is 8.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches going to the breast point. I'm going to mark 8.5 inches like so. This is 8.5 inches. Okay, and sewing allowance is this 8.5 inches. Then we're going to add sewing allowance, and I'm going to use 1.5, that's 1.5 for my sewing allowance. right here. Then go down to my waist length. My waist circumference is 27. 27 divided by 4, that is 6 3/4. So now I'm just going to mark 6 3/4. And this is 6 3/4 right here. Okay. 1 inches that I used as that here, I'm going to impute it here as well. So the 1 inches here, we're going to add it back here. So I'm going to add 1 inches here. And my sewing allowance is 1.5. I'm going to add 1.5 inches sewing allowance. Okay, what I just did right now is this. 27, which is the circumference, divided by 4, that's 6 3/4. Plus the 1 inches that, which we used here, we're going to add it back. Then plus 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. And for the bust line, I did 8.5 inches plus 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, just to be clear. Now I'm just going to extend the upper chest line, because the upper chest line is going to be the same as the breast point. Okay, so I'm just going to extend it, which is here. Now I'm going to connect these points together. Connected nicely. Inches that I used here, I'm going to add it back to this place. So I'm just going to come here and measure 2 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to connect this to this point to make a straight line. Like this. Now I'm going to connect it. Like so. I'm going to add 1 inches here for sewing allowance to join with the peplon. Okay, and for also the shoulder. So I'm just going to add 1 inches like so. Connect these points together. Just extending the points. So now guys, it's time to cut. Back just like we did the front, but we're going to do little adjustments. Okay, so we have the breast points. This is the breast points. This is the under bust, and this is the waist length. Allowance is 1 inches. I'm just going to mark zip allowance here as 1 inches. Zip allowance 1 inches. I'm going to make a straight line and connect these points together. So this is the zip allowance. Okay, so for my neck measurements at the back, so for the back neck measurements, I'm not going to cut it exactly the same as I cut the front, because I don't want it to be the same. So the back measurements, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. So this is 1.5 inches. Then I'll trace the rest. So I'm going in with the front yoke. I'm just going to fold this in because we don't need this part. I'm just going to fold this in and connect it like this. Guys, don't forget to add your 1 inch allowance here. So I'm just going to trace this out nicely. Points here. Points here. I'm just going to connect these points together. And for the neck, I'm going to resize the neck. So I'm just whole length is 8 inches. I'm just going to mark 8 inches right here and make a straight line like we did for the front. Straight line like we did for the front, and bring the line down. So this is the yoke and this is the upper chest. Okay, this is the zip allowance, 1 inches, upper chest, and the yoke. So for the yoke at the back, I don't need to have a sweetheart neck, so I'm just going to leave it like this, straight up like this. And for my armhole, I'm not going to go in by 3/4 inches like I did in front. The armhole is just going to be normal. We're not going to go in by 3/4 inches, okay? So now I'm just going to trace it like this. Okay, so this is the armhole for the back, like so. Now the nipple to nipple, just like we did in front, we go to the breast point, is 3 1/4 inches. I'm just going to mark 3 1/4 inches here and come down to the waistline, and also mark 3 1/4 inches as well. 3 1/4 inches as well. So now I'm going to connect it all the way to the upper chest. All the way to the upper chest. I'm going to take 1/2 inches, just like I did in front. 1/2 inches here. And for the upper chest, I'll go down by 1 inches. Go down by 1 inches. Then connect this to this. Going with my ruler and just connect this. Okay. Now I'm going to add 1 inches for joining. 1 inches here. 1 inches here. 1 inches here. I'm going to do a straight line. I'm just going to extend this flat measurement down here. Now I'm going to get the exact measurements. For my breast points, we have 34 inches divided by 4, 8.5 inches. The same thing we did for the front. So I have 8.5 inches here, plus 1.5 inches sewing allowance. I'm going to add it here. Then for the waistline, I have 27 divided by 4, that's 6 3/4. 27 divided by 4, that is 6 3/4. Plus 1 inches, that's I'm going to add it back here. It's 1 inches, and sewing allowance 1.5. Okay, and we're going to connect these 2 points together. And that's the same for the upper chest, the same as the breast points. Also the same for the upper chest. So now we're going to connect this together. Like so. Done with the back. I'm now going to cut it so that you see how entry starts. That we have for the back, and this is the front. So I'm going to go ahead and trace this on my fabric, and when I'm back, I'll show you guys what I did. So guys, I just cut the fabric, and this is what I did. I left 1/2 inch sewing allowance here to join with the yoke, 1/2 inch sewing allowance as well, and 1/2 inch sewing allowance to join the bustier. Okay, 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Please do not forget to include your 1/2 inch sewing allowance. And for the back, I did the same thing for the back. This is the back. Okay, I also left 1/2 inch sewing allowance here to join with the yoke at the back. Okay, please do not forget. For the yoke itself, this is it. I also left 1/2 inch sewing allowance here for the joining. Okay, and 1/2 inch sewing allowance. This is the back. This is the back, and this is the front. So I left 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the bottom, 1/2 inch sewing allowance too. Do not forget to include your 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So guys, this is my lining. Okay, I decided to use the fabric for lining. You can use your lining if you want to, but because I had excess, I decided to use this as my lining. So you're going to cut it the same way you cut the front. Okay, and you're going to sew it separately. We're going to sew this in the sewing machine like this, and also sew this like so separately, after which I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Then we'll join it together. Okay, so guys, this is what it looks like after joining. This is what it looks like. This is the bustier, the breast pad. So this is what it looks like already. It already has this nice shape. So this is what it looks like. And this is the lining. Okay, I did the same thing that I did for the bustier for the lining. So this is what the lining looks like. You're going to sew the lining the same way you made the bustier. Okay, so this is the lining, and this is my yoke. This is my yoke for the front. I'm just going to join this together. So this is the yoke. I'm going to join this together now nicely. Okay, so I'm going to start with this sweetheart point. Remember guys that we have 1/2 inches here and 1/2 inches here. So you're just going to join it by 1/2 inches. So I just want to pin it down now. This point facing this point. Okay, like so. Pin it down here first and progress like that. It's going to be easier for you this way. Now I'm just going to hold this point. I'm going to go stitch this now. I'm going to stitch this round. Okay, and when I'm back, I'll show you what it looks like. Guys, this is what it looks like. I've added the yoke to the bustier. I used 1/2 inches in joining. Okay, so this is the front and this is the back. Also joined it together. This is what it looks looking like. I used 1/2 inches for joining, 1/2 inches for joining. Okay, so pretty. So it's time to add the lining, guys. So this is where the 1/2 inches is going to play a huge role, because now I'm going to take my lining. This is my lining, and place it on that 1/2 inches. So the yoke is going to be in between the bustier and the lining. Okay, the yoke is going to be in between. I'm going to stitch all the way here, so that when I turn, we're going to have something like this. Okay, so right sides facing right sides. So I'm going to stitch this down just like I did for the yoke. I'm going to repeat the same thing that I did here. So guys, I'm going to go stitch this like this. Okay, I'll stitch here round like so. And when I'm back, I'll show you what it looks like. Guys, this is what it looks like. Really nice. So you can see that here is a bit bulky. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch. Okay, I'm going to stitch this down so that it's going to be as flat as the back. Okay, I did the same thing for the back. This is the back. I've added the lining, and this is how I top stitched to make it flat. So I'm going to do exactly the same for the front. You're just going to top stitch on the lining, guys, on the lining. So you're going to do it like this. Let me zoom in. So this is the lining. I'm going to top stitch all the way here, and it's going to show here. This is what the top stitch looks like. Okay, if you turn over, it's going to be on the lining like so. Okay, now we're going to cut whatever excess we have here. Just going to trim this. Be careful, guys, so that you don't cut the main fabric. I'm going to notch this just to make sure that it relaxes really well. Now that is done, guys, this is what it looks like. See, guys, it's a bit relaxed now. Over here and sew this down. Okay, I'm going to sew these 2 points down. I'm going to go stitch here. I'm not going to stitch the armhole because I'm going to add a sleeve to it, so I'm just going to stitch here. Okay, in this, I'm going to turn it over. This is what it looks like. So guys, the next thing is to use bias for the neckline. Okay, so I'm going to do this now, and when I'm back I'll show you what it looks like. So guys, this is what it looks like. I just placed the bias. Okay, this is what it looks like. I did the same for the back. This is the bias for folding the neckline. So if you want to see a separate tutorial on how I did this bias, please let me know in the comment section and I'll be sure to film a video for that. So this is what the bias looks like. Okay. So guys, it is time for the peplon, and I'm going to use the back to get the measurements, the waist measurements, and that's because the back has zip allowance, okay, and the front doesn't have a zip allowance. So you might be carried away and measure with the front, forgetting that you have a zip allowance at the back. So I usually go with the back to get my waist measurement for my peplon. So this is the back. This is the back dress, okay? So I'm just going to join them together to get my waist measurement. Now I'm going in with my tape. I'm going to measure the waist. The waist here is 9.5. The waist here is 9.5. Okay, so we're going to work with 9.5 for the waist. Okay, 9.5. As the length of my peplon is 8 inches, I added 7 inches to it to make it 15 inches. And that is what we use to fold the fabric. The reason I added 7 inches is because I have very little fabric here. If I had more fabric, I would have added more than 7 inches so that I can have a full volume peplon. So I'm just going to work with what I have, and I'm going to add a certain amount of inches to the length of your peplon. So the length of my peplon is 8 inches. I added 7 inches to it, and that is 15 inches. So I'm going to fold my fabric in 15 inches. So now this is the first fold. Okay. So if you measure from here to here, you have 15 inches. Okay. This is, you just fold it now into 2. You fold your fabric into 2 like this. Okay. And you mark 15 inches. Like I said, because I don't have much fabric here, that was why I added 7 inches. If I had more fabric, I would have added like 10 inches to it, and that's 18, or I would have added like 12 inches. It depends. But because I don't have much fabric, that's why I'm using 7. Okay, so now 7 plus 8 is 15. You're going to mark 15 here. This is 15. After folding like this, you need to fold like this as well. Okay, so you're going to fold into 4 places. And you're going to get the measurements. This is 15 inches. This is also 15 inches. So from here to here has to be 15 inches or more. So I have more than 15 inches. Just doesn't matter. From here to here it's also 15 inches. Just make sure that you get that particular measurement you got in the first place. So from here to here it's 15 inches. From here to here it's 15 inches. Okay? Okay. Then you come over to this side of the fabric. You come over to this side. I usually just do trial and error. I want to get the waist measurements. So the waist measurement we got from the dress is 9.5, right? So we're going to see if we're going to get exactly 9.5 here. You see, this is 7. I keep trying till I get 9.5. So I'm going to try again. No, I need to try one more time. I'm going to place my tape like this and just hold it down while I measure. So we have 9.5, okay? So guys, at this point, if you want to have more volume for your peplum. You can make this more than 9.5, despite the fact that you have 9.5 on your waist measurements for the top you just measured. You can actually mark here more than 9.5, so you can be able to have more, more peplum. Okay, so I'm not going to leave mine at 9.5, because if I leave mine at 9.5, it's just going to be exactly as it is on the waist. But I want to have folds, so I'm going to increase mine by, I'm just going to take another curve. So this is 11. So I just want to have more than the waist measurement, so that I can have, like, I can be able to do box splits or anything like that. After this, guys, from this point, this is my waist. Okay, from this point I'm going to measure the length of the peplum, and the length of the peplum is 8, so that is 8 right here. Okay, that's 8 right here, so I'm just going to tick that. This is 8. I'll come over here. This is how you're going to measure. This is 8. Come right here. 8. This is what it looks like. Okay. Now it's time to cut. Okay, guys, this is what it looks like. This is what our peplum looks like. Okay, this is into 4. Now we're going to do this. You're going to open it and just do something like this. Okay, so this is the back and this is the front. So this is 1.5. This is 1.5, 1.5 zip allowance, 1.5 zip allowance. So this is the zip allowance. I'm going to cut this place off. You don't need this part. So, okay, this part is off now. I just cut it off. I'm also going to open this place. So I'm going to open here right now. So I'm going to open it like this. Okay, so it's open now. So this is the front. Okay, and this is the back. So I'm going to cut the same for my lining and sew it together, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm done attaching the lining to the peplum. So guys, I'm done attaching the lining to the peplum, and this is what it looks like. Okay, this is how I sewed it round. Okay, this is the wrong side. Okay, I sewed it round like this, and when you turn it, this is what it looks like. Okay, but now we're going to do top stitching. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. This is the back peplum. Okay, I need to zoom in. So this is the back peplum. I had to stitch over this again. Okay, you have to stitch on this. This is how you're going to do it, like this. Then you go over here and stitch on the lining. This is to make it lap nicely. So it's going to lap nicely when you do that. So on this place like so, stitch here, and this is what it's going to look like at the back. You see that it's well relaxed. Okay, it's well relaxed. So I'm going to do the same for the front. Hello guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. So this is my peplum top with yoke. It came out really nice and really beautiful. So if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Until then, peace.